So you are Strike Freedom, you are Justice Gundam, and the Eternal Warship are finally out in SD Gundam G Generation Eternal, and I'm going to be doing a follow-up to my Should You Pull video, reviewing these brand new options in-game, and giving you guys my thoughts and opinion, and seeing if it changed a little bit from my Should You Pull. What's up, everybody? Fortexfiend here. Welcome to another SD Gundam G Generation Eternal video, and simply put, we're going to take a look at the brand new goodies that we got in the banner featured right now, and giving you guys my overall thoughts and opinions, and reviewing them, kind of comparing them to some similar units that we already have, and just seeing if they're overall worth your resources. So let's go ahead and dive right into it. So I have all three. There's technically four. There's an SSR and a brand new SSR pilot. I didn't forget about her, but we're also going to touch up on her as well. But one thing that I do want to point out with that brand new SSR mobile suit and Strike Freedom and Justice is they have something that we all love, and that is aerial terrain capability, or atmospheric terrain capability. So mobility-wise, in terms of terrain, these units already get a plus in my book, because aerial combat just seems to be the bane of most of the mobile suits currently in this game, and all three of these brand new mobile suits have it. So that's already fantastic in my book. If you pull any of those units, even that SSR, you have access to another unit that can fight in the air. I'm not sure why there's units that can fight in space, but they can't fight in the air. Someone was telling me atmospheric pressure, getting all scientific, who knows? I mean, it's goofy for an anime, but it is what it is, right? But these units have that. So I think that's really, really cool that all three of them have access to that. So we're going to go ahead and start first with the non-limited unit, which is going to be Justice and its pilot Athrun. So Justice is a pretty solid tank. Definitely very balanced out with an access to, one melee attack, which is that ambidextrous halberd with a solid power for a durability at 4200. Has access to two mid-range type skills, one being just a standard range, and the other one being like a special weapon with both ranged and melee. So the one that I really like here that sticks out to me is the Fatum 00. I hope I said that right, because it does have that mobility down 25% debuff on enemies, which is really, really solid. And then afterwards, its most highlighted ability is its EX, which has up to a 4 range. It has absolute hit. It has that weapon attribute damage reduction null, and it inflicts that 35% attack down debuff. This debuff is also available in other UR durability units, such as, for example, Barbados 6th form and also RX-78-2, which are the two that I could think of off the top of my head. So if you don't pull this unit and you have access to those are still some great options. I think Barbados out damages this unit in particular just by a little bit, because it's a more in-your-face type of a tank. It's more offensive compared to the rest, whereas this one is a bit more like, tankier, likes to stay in the back lines, use long range to be able to inflict its damage and its debuffs. And if we take a look at its abilities here, they're pretty standard as well. Increased defense, energy recovery, and then that phase shift armor is pretty cool, because when an enemy attacks with physical weapons, you reduce the damage taken by 30%. So if you're up against enemies that like using physical weapons, this is a great unit to have in your lineup. So very, very solid overall, but if you don't have it and you have other options, those are there for you as well. So good unit, solid unit, but nothing super crazy in my opinion, outside of maybe that aerial combat, because that just seems to be kind of a rare commodity with the units currently. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at its pilot, which is Athrun Zala. I'm saying it correctly now, I hope, because I called him Athrun in one of my other videos. But let's take a look at Athrun's skills. High speed gives an additional movement. So this unit has a little bit more movement capabilities compared to some of the other UR durabilities. Boost range is cool. So during the next fight, after activating the effect, you increase the range of whatever attacking skill you're going to be using. That is good. We've seen this with an attacking unit such as Sazabi. It's very useful, especially if you want to stay outside of an enemy's counterattack range and still be able to deal them damage. And then HP repair, restore HP by 50%. What's not to love about that? It's a tanking unit. You want to stay alive. You want to be able to defend as much as possible and survive, so that way your other units are not in harm's way. And then afterwards, Athrun's abilities or passives are as follows. A support defense, durability type, coordinator level 4, which is good, increases own awakening reaction. And the EX character ability is increase own defense by 20% when executing support defense of the Triple Ships Alliance. So Triple Ships Alliance consists of these units right over here. I think this is regular freedom, right? Yeah, this is regular freedom. So regular freedom is in that. We have the Freedom Gundam Meteor, and then we also have the Perfect Strike Gundam. And then I don't have these currently, but I will eventually for those units that are listed right there. Let me see which this one is. This is... Oh, this is Justice Gundam. Okay, this is the new unit that we were just talking about. Okay, so I don't have it on this account, but pretty much we all know how that works. If you have the similar tags or the exact same tags, you know, you get this effect. So overall, very, very solid pilot, very, very solid mobile suit. I wouldn't say it's like a super investment to chase after, but if you get it, very, very good option for a durability type mobile suit. Especially if you're lacking some seed units and you are hoping to have an easier time with like Eternal Road for that brand new seed one that we got, or the hard mode even. This is a great option to have. So we're going to go ahead and talk about the warship really quick, because there's not really much to say other than that this is probably the best warship in the game right now. It is to be expected because this is a limited time unit. In gacha games that I've played, whenever there's a limited time unit that doesn't come back until they decide to re-release the event again, you have to expect that those limited time units are going to have a little bit of a leg up over the standard units. That's just the way it goes. And this one is no exception, because if you manage to pull this warship, you get a 30% stat increase except to energy for units that have access to the one-shot killer tag. And there are some really powerful units with that tag. One that I can think of off the top of my head is Sazabi, who's a very popular range damaged unit. So very, very excellent warship. If you managed to get this, I was fortunate and blessed enough to get it. Congrats, because you now have access to the most powerful, or arguably the best warship in the game currently. Okay. We're actually, you know, I want to talk about the SSR real quick first before I save the best for last. Okay, so the SSR, let's just go ahead and filter. So make it easier for myself here. Let me find it. Is it Strike Rogue? Is it this one? I believe it's this one. Let me just double check. Yes. Okay, so this is the... I believe this is the brand new unit. I'm just double checking. Want to make sure that... Yeah, that's the brand new unit. Okay, so Strike Rogue. This is the brand new SSR that came out. I didn't expect to pull this because honestly I forgot that there was an SSR that I was missing, and someone pointed out that this is it. So for an SSR unit, very, very solid. If you take a look at its weapon list right over here, some of the ones that stick out for me, not that one, it is the last two, I believe. So inflict defense down 10% on enemies. I mean, that's not too bad if you think about it. It's another defense down if you don't have access to a defense down. And then you have access to barrage, which inflicts damage taken from special weapons up 20% on the enemy for one turn. So if you are structuring or strategizing where you're about to use like a bunch of special weapon attacks on enemies, and you have this, and you are able to inflict this debuff, very, very solid. And also, like I mentioned earlier, the terrain capabilities of these units, you have access to air combat, which is really, really good. If you take a look at the abilities right here, very standard again for these units, but this unit has increased max energy level 2 and phase shift armor level 2. So very good for an SSR unit. I love the terrain capabilities and the weapon skills that it has access to. And then let's finally take a look at the pilot for this. Let me find her here. Where is she? There she is. Okay. So the pilot, Cagalli, Yula, Athha. I hope I said that correctly. She is a supporter type pilot. She has attack burst level 3, increasing her attack by 15%, and energy charge level 2, restoring her energy by 40%. Pretty cool. So she can deal potentially more damage if you activate that attack burst, or she can restore her energy if you are running low with her skills, especially when you're using her as a supporter. The support attack, she has that. All the other supporters have that. She has increased range, which I need to point out that means increased range damage. That confused me a bit in one of my earlier videos because I'm like, why don't they just call it range damage? But she has an increased 15% in range damage dealt. And then when piloting units with specified tags, which is orb, she has increased damage dealt to enemies by 10% and reduced damage by 10%. Let's take a look at orb. Okay, so the brand new unit is on there, which is good. So if you pair this SSR up with Strike Freedom, you'll have access to this particular passive right over there, which is the Affinity Orb level 2. So for an SSR unit, very solid, very, very good. I didn't want to forget about her and her mobile suit because she is the brand new SSR on the banner. It just wasn't highlighted because obviously that's not who you're pulling for, right? Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and talk about the star of the show, which is UR Strike Freedom, which is the limited time mobile suit on this banner. So I know I was comparing this unit to Sazabi. They have some glaring similarities, which is primarily ranged combat, because ranged combat is very, very powerful in this game if you could utilize it properly. If you're able to stay outside of an enemy's counterattack and still deal damage, that's very, very good. So in a nutshell, from comparing both Sazabi and also this unit out damages it in every way, shape, or possible. Everything about Strike Freedom, it does it better than Sazabi. It does more damage across all of its skills, and I made sure to check this to make sure that that was the case. All of its skills outclass Sazabi's. And again, this is a limited time unit, which is why that is the case. If they didn't give you an incentive to pull for this unit, then why would you be pulling for it, right? So it definitely outclasses Sazabi in terms of everything that it does. In terms of its abilities, increased attack by 15%, energy recovery, and variable phase shift armor. Again, very, very good unit right here. To be expected, of course, for a limited time unit, but these are very, very good passives as well. The only thing that I really saw that Sazabi, in terms of stat-wise, excelled in over this unit is a little bit more HP and more energy efficient. So Sazabi is more energy efficient and has a little bit more HP, but when it comes to damage and everything else, Strike Freedom outclasses it by a little bit. Okay, Strike Freedom is definitely the superior of the two, and not to mention the atmospheric terrain capability. Sazabi can access the air. This unit can. So this unit, objectively, it's a better version of Sazabi. It's Sazabi 2.0. And then the pilots. All right, so the pilots. Let's talk about the pilots because I do have this unit. So Kira. Oh, attacking Kira. So I was like, is this unit going to get sway? If this unit gets sway, my opinion might sway about this banner, but sway level 2, SP cost 7, so you could use this twice. Broken much? Lock on level 2, which is great. During the next fight, if you activate this, increases accuracy. So if you are concerned about not hitting your target, there you go. And then attack burst level 5. Kira is currently the only unit that has an increase of damage dealt by 25%. Char Aznable, the UR Char, only has it by 20%. So all in all, the only thing that UR Char Aznable has over Kira is he has the added range and also the energy efficiency. So you could reduce the amount of energy consumption on his skills and also give him a little bit more range. For example, for his EX, you could stay farther away from enemies' counterattack, whereas Kira can't. But Kira has sway and can use it twice. And someone in my Discord was telling me again, Strike Freedom like never gets hit in the anime apparently. So there you go. This pilot is exceptional. This pilot is very, very strong. I actually think the prize is the pilot. If you pull Strike Freedom, the pilot is going to be your prize because those character skills are crazy. And then afterwards, the passives. Increased damage dealt level 4, 5% higher than the similar ability that UR Char Aznable has. Super Coordinator level 5. Char has something similar, which is the new type version, except his is only Awakening Reaction by 20%. Awakening Reaction by 25%, and then you also have that EX character ability, Chance Step plus 1 time, so he does have that Chance Step that everybody loves. But remember, when it comes to Chance Step, for endgame content, unless they start releasing endgame content that has mobs of enemies, where you could take advantage of that, it tends to be a bit overrated in my opinion, but for like early content and story content, it's still fantastic. But all in all, Kira and Strike Freedom objectively do outclass Sazabi and Char, which is the most comparable unit to this. So all in all, it's a very, very good banner, and I just had a home screen change right over there. I think this is a really, really, really good banner. If you're free to play, however, my opinion does not change of being cautious with your resources. Because remember, we don't know what's coming out next. We don't know what the next limited character is. The plus side of getting this now is you're getting yourself another fantastic ranged attacker. So if you want more range damage, go for it. Just be mindful that RNG may be on your side and RNG may not be on your side. I know that's like something that's typical that you should already know because luck sometimes won't be in our favor, but the biggest thing that you want to avoid is running dry on resources because you didn't get your unit and you're free to play, and then all of a sudden something even better comes out and you have nothing for that. Which is why I say if you have Sazabi and you are unsure and you are either free to play or a light spender, to be cautious on pulling on this banner. Objectively, Strike Freedom is definitely a great unit to invest in. Much better than Sazabi. It's to be expected of a limited time unit. Justice Gundam is a pretty solid option for a durability. However, it is going in the standard banner, so nothing too crazy to highlight there. The UR warship is fantastic. Best warship in the game. The warships have a lower pull rate, so unless you get really lucky, don't chase the warship, even though it is a very, very good thing to pull. But as far as Strike Freedom, very solid unit. If you are a whale or if that unit's your favorite, you're gonna pull. If you are free to play with limited resources or you don't spend nearly as often and you are unsure and you already have access to Sazabi, just be cautious is all I'm saying. It's a great investment. Nothing to me is ever a must pull because there's always something better that's going to be coming out. That's just the nature of these Gacha games. But if you pull, yes, it's a good investment. It is not a must pull, and just be cautious if you are a player that has limited resources. That's going to be my full banner review. Let me know what you guys think down below. Did you guys pull it? What do you guys think of these units so far? Are you having fun? Again, that's the most important thing when it comes to these games is, are you having fun? And if you are, then you're on your way to enjoy a fantastic mobile game that I am very glad to have started and to be making content for you guys. Thank you guys again for watching. Stay tuned for the next video and stay blessed, everybody.